Welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Southeast Termite and Pest Control, East Tennessee's largest locally owned pest control company. With more than 50 years of experience, it's who I use to protect my home. You can too. I couldn't recommend them any more highly. The Haynes family takes a lot of pride in what they do, and you will reap the benefits of that pride when you call Southeast Termite and Pest Control. They will take good care of your home, I promise you. SoutheastTermite.com. All right, back with Josh, Kevin, and Bob. Last year, the Vols scored a last-second touchdown on Missouri to make it a 66-24 win. The Vols were angling for a playoff berth. Heupel isn't seen to be a guy who takes his foot off the gas a lot, so not surprised by that. But did Missouri circle their calendars? Did they take the receipts? Very much so. Here's what Eli Drinkwitz said after the game. I'm just quoting. Said this on CBS, great win. Our defense kicked their ass tonight. You know our team came out. We wanted to stand on business tonight. We had some unfinished business from last year. We came out and took care of business. Then after the game in the media press conference, he said, you went from giving up the most points to keeping them to the least amount of points for Heupel. So that's a pretty good swing right there. And he was asked about, did you try and take the ball away from them and keep possession because it was 40-20 in time of possession? And he basically said, we didn't care. We just wanted to whip their butt and score points. All right. Bob Hodge, here's the question. How much of a role did last year's final play in the outcome of this year's game?
I think bigger than I would have expected. I thought that Missouri would use that. They would use it all week. And then the game would start. And then after a few minutes, it would dissipate. But instead, you hit Tennessee in the mouth. They didn't respond. And so I think it kept going and going and going. I think things like that usually can help you get fired up at the start, but then you settle into the game. But in this case, I think it kept rolling through the whole thing because Tennessee had no response to being out-muscled by Missouri.
Josh.
Yeah, the emotion in those comments, I think that's probably part of it. Now, the team itself, I'm sure they probably looked at tape and said, hey, they just went up and whipped you guys last year and 2 years. Are you going to let that happen again? I'm sure that's part of the plan of wanting to go out and kick Tennessee's butt.
Right, it wasn't just the...
But Drinkwitz's comments, like we've seen with other coaches, some related to Tennessee, when you talk about Beamer with South Carolina last year after the 2021 game, I can't help but expect that there's something there from the end of last year's game. And at the end of last year's game, Drinkwitz said, my job is to stop them. So he did not criticize Tennessee for doing it, but it doesn't mean he didn't file it away. I'm sure that he did.
And all these guys are looking for something, and you gave it to them on a silver platter. I mean, and Missouri's players, in case you didn't notice the shot where one of the guys was running around with the coonskin cap on. I think that was interesting. Kevin Simon, how much did a play in a previous year's game play in the outcome of yesterday's game?
Well, leadership starts from the top down, and it just seems like from Drinkwitz's comments that this has been a rallying cry, not just this week, all off season. You know, they've been thinking about this moment in playing Tennessee and coming out and doing what they did. We live in a society where people, they can't wait to be
insulted.
Yeah, insulted about something.
Yeah.
So you gave them a little, you inadvertently gave them bulletin board material, and they held on to it, and they cashed the check.
Yeah. In terms of receipt games, Tennessee this year is 1-3. You took receipts and circled the calendar against South Carolina. Same thing that happened to you yesterday, and you went out and kicked their butt. Hooray. Florida took receipts against you last year, not because you blew them out, but because you beat them. Alabama, as they circle that calendar because of Sterling playing at Dixieland Delight after the game, them smoking those cigars. They took receipts, they beat you, and now Missouri took receipts on the run it up. You got another receipt game. Georgia whipped you last year. You didn't like the way you played. Let's see if you can get a second win in a receipt game this year, my guess is.
Go with Kevin's thing. Is Tennessee going to cash their check?
Tennessee going to cash their check. We'll do picks later, but I think let's be realistic. Okay, when we come back, we start to talk about Georgia and also what do the Vols' bowl prospects look like now? Josh Ward will go with the big board. He'll tell you where they're looking in terms of bowls. We got a little bit more about Josh Heupel, too. That's coming up later. So come on back. It's pretty impressive stuff, interesting stats. Come on back on the Sports Source.